Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole, hosted by two nationally published Atlanta interior designers, Joanne Kandrak and Kelly Cole. These energetic women are also world travelers, charity givers, and bloggers with a wealth of information to share and stories to tell about the interior design world. Okay, now just a warning, this is going to be fun and not too serious. After all, they still do have an interior design business running at full speed.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 88, the top things you need to know about a new website and elevating your brand presence with our guest, Frankie Durbin. This is Joanne Kandrak, and we are honored to have Frankie this morning as our guest on the show. We were introduced to Frankie by Shamin Taylor-Smith, who did some coaching for us, and she referred her as a person who could create a new website for us. So Frankie works with high-end creative service providers, entrepreneurs, influencers, and luxury brands to build memorable and rock star quality brands. Yeah. Her unique position for profit approaches ensures that you will become irresistible to your perfect clients and firmly stand out in your niche so you can step into the fullness of your unlimited potential.
I think everybody needs this right now. The timing is perfect. All right, guys. Well, before we get started, we want to let you know that this episode of Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole is sponsored by Helzer Brothers Hardware, a fully custom manufacturer of drapery hardware. We talk about them on almost every show. So you guys already probably know this already, but in case you're listening for the first time, this company is run by two brothers, Jay and Mark, and they've been in business for 24 years. They have an amazing reputation, and we adore them. They offer competitive and simple pricing, and all orders over $100 ship free. So check them out, helzerbrothers.com, to see all the gorgeous window treatments using their hardware. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. And be sure to listen to our podcast interview with Jay. It was really fun. We talked to him on episode 71.
One other thing, if you go onto their website, there's a gallery section.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And window fabricators and window treatment workers put up some of their window treatments so you can see what their hardware looks like on actual windows.
Really good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome, Frankie.
Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Thank
This
you
is
for
awesome.
having me. It is
Sure.
awesome.
We were talking almost every day for a while there because Frankie is the one who designed our website. So there's so much that went into that. So
We're going to take a deep dive.
Yeah. So let's just start with like step one. So what do you do to determine a strategy with your clients?
Ooh, I mean, it's a little bit of fun. In some ways, it's like an cultural anthropologist, right? The first thing I do is have as many conversations with them as possible to listen and hear what they're trying to tell me. And most of the time it's even that they can't quite articulate it. But my goal is to pull out where they're trying to grow and where they're trying to land, not what they've done, not where they're at, but where they're going next. And that's what I'm most interested in, is closing that gap.
And I think that's probably really hard for people. It's kind of like when we talked to Luann Nagara and it was, what's your why? It's kind of like, okay, here's this new website that's about to be created. How do I want the world to see me? Maybe it's different than
Yes.
where I'm at right now. And
Yes.
How do I want my business to grow? Because this website is going to propel me in that direction. But it's kind of like our clients, they don't know what they don't know.
Exactly.
So that's where
Yes.
the lean in on you is heavy.
One of the questions that you asked us is another one that says, who is your ideal client? Because that's who you are putting yourself out there for.
Yes, and that's it right there. I think a lot of times I've noticed, even for me, if someone's creating something for me, they're looking at my history, what I've done, but that's a look back. So just because I can be busy all the time with a stream of clients doing this, that doesn't mean that lights me up inside and makes me wake up each day and go, oh my God, I love what I do. So if I can help someone be more selective and more clearly articulate what kind of clients they're trying to get, what kind of work lights them up. Maybe it's the same client, but they want to do different work for them. So most of the time it's a perception gap, or it's almost as though they need permission to present themselves differently online. You ladies didn't struggle with that. You girls were expressive And I mean this wonderfully. You knew you wanted to share that vivaciousness. You're probably a good example. You wanted to be fully seen in all your color for everything you do. But not everyone comes so self-possessed. They almost need permission to step into that space and say, well, this is what I love. This is who I am. This is exactly who I want to work with. So I get to sit back and listen.
Yeah. Well, it's basically your advertisement for yourself or in your business. But it has to be something that has to be able to live long too, because we've done 3 websites in the 15 years, and it's not something that you can do every year or two. So you have to make sure you get it all right once you get it started. So I know we talk about how you want your clients to be, but then there's that messaging and the words, and you helped us a lot with the copy. So the words that you say that matter. So give us an example.
So that's probably my favorite part, and I probably don't articulate enough that's kind of one of the main parts of what I do, because I feel like a lot of people can produce a pretty design, and design is available to a lot of us right now through different tools, and even a lot of things already come themed. But the message, I've seen, and I know you have too, unattractive sites that are very compelling and cause you to buy. Amazon's a good example of a site where design isn't the leader, but it's such a compelling experience. And there's more going on with Amazon than that. But and a lot of these coaching websites are other good examples. It's like it's the writing. It's this compelling verbiage. But for interior designers like yourselves, a lot of it is, what is it that makes you different? Because when someone's looking for someone, they probably have a few different tabs open, a few different firms they're looking at. So how do they look at yours and go, oh yeah? And that's kind of the result you want, just in your boom, right off the top, what they see, the messaging. So if we can be more specific there, rather than just saying Atlanta designer, if we can say world traveling, passionate about color, if we can throw some of that in there, then they kind of get it. And the people for whom you're meant to work with, there'll be that inner click where they have that oh yeah moment. And the rest of them won't, but that's the goal. You want the fully aligned clients, right?
And that is so true. And you did a great job with that for us, because, we've talked on the show before that Amy in our office does all of our qualifying, and she speaks to our clients on the front end. And it's I would say, Joanne, 80%, maybe even higher, of clients that call in, prospective clients that call in, actually become a real client, because they've stalked us and they saw the website and they clicked with the website like you're speaking of. And you're either going to look at our website and click with us, or you're not. It's pretty obvious what we're all about.
And one of the other things I think is the visual, the photography. Phil Palin, who is a great branding guy as well, told us about that, told us that photography is so important. And so one of the things that people tell Kelly and I all the time is that we have a lot of energy, we seem very approachable, and that's one of the things that they're attracted to. So we invested in getting some photography done. And so when you go to the front page of our website, there we are smiling, and so that people can already from the very beginning at least see what we look like. I know if I get a resume or whatever, I want to see what the person looks like. I want to get an idea in my head.
Yes.
So it isn't just, of course we have all the beautiful photography of the spaces, but you're also hiring us. Like you said, a lot of people can do beautiful design, but you have to click with the person, and they have to get that comfortable feeling.
And what ended up being funny about that is the timing just aligned. We had a huge job that we had finished in Kiowa, and we were going to do the install, and Joanne, her daughter had been married in Charleston, and so she had a photographer there. She said, you know what, why don't I just have her come to the site and not do anything, just shoot us. The house wasn't, quite perfect yet. And I'm like, okay, sure. And she took so many, and the colors were so great in the interiors that we had done in this house that it was the driver for our new branding. So we came to you with this, silver platter of beautiful photography that really helped us. But so when you sit down with a new client and they want to create a new website, and you tackle the big umbrella of branding, which, a website is just a tiny bit of that new creation of that new brand. How do you start that with a client? What do you ask them to provide for you, or how do you help them navigate what they want?
I mean, I think the first step isn't too unlike your role. There's something that drove them to come for a complete remodel. They didn't come because they wanted new bedding. They could have handled that. So a lot of it is kind of digging and going, what is it? And typically it's because they are, well, in the case of my business, often the site has been stagnant for a while, or they don't feel comfortable updating it, or there's a barrier there. So there's now this image that they have of themselves, which is a disconnect from what that site is. So they kind of want to reconcile that. But I always notice, most of my clients are women, and what I notice is we almost want permission to grow. And I know that sounds silly, but it's just true, right? It's like we kind of want permission to step into this new us. And as creatives, we're kind of always evolving. So most of the time,
it's very
really
freeing.
Well, it's
freeing. I don't think it's silly. It's awesome, really.
It's growth, really.
So it's figuring out that why. Like, what is it? And is it that she's amazing, but she keeps missing these full home projects to someone else? So is it misperception on the site? Is it that she's no longer doing this? Commercial is where her heart is. Or if it's a coach, and the reason I bring up coaching, you ladies took a page out of the coaching book by showing photos of yourself. And it was this, I think, new for the interior designer space. But I think you surpassed that because you ladies have podcasts and e-services. So you're a little on that cutting edge in my world of the rest of the industry because you're pushing on all fronts so beautifully. And because of that, the brand is you. It's not just the spaces you create. So to answer your question, it's really about finding out what's itching this client and what is it. And as the more we dial back and get into the why, and it's not just why you're doing this, but the why we're even on this call with a new client. And finally, there's that, oh, I get it. And then I also get who she is or who they are as a firm or a coach or a designer. And she wants to have a product line and we're growing in this area. And so it's like, okay, so we need to massive, like a quantum leap in your branding, and you're not playing small anymore. And that is where it's the most fun for me. It's figuring out where that gap is, and then awesome. That's our directive. So trying to land you out there where you're going, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think also it's just what you're saying. It's kind of like us with our design. We can dream as big as possible for our clients, but unless we have the resources, the artisans, the manufacturers, the vendors, the installers to make it happen, we can't do it. So what was nice about you is we could say, we really want to do e-design again, but it seems so overwhelming and we don't know how to, and you were like, no, we can do this. This is
right.
What we're going to do. And you were the avenue for us to kick it off and make it happen. And so it's exactly what you're saying. When you have that tool, then all of a sudden you can be more than you think you can.
It was funny. We would ask Frankie, can we do this? And everything. Oh, absolutely. Easy. So some of the things that what we have on our website
thought were daunting, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, because everybody has their thing, right? So what we have on our new website, which we did not on our last, are three major things. We have a shop page, which that was huge. That was a big deal. We have a whole e-design section with all the information and linking. And then something that we went kind of back and forth with was this pop-up inviting you to go onto our newsletter or to give us your email. And we'll talk about that in a second, I know. So we decided that we wanted it, but we didn't want it to come up for about 30 or 45 seconds. Like, I don't like to go into a website and then it hits me right in the face. It's like, listen, I don't even know who you are. Don't start giving me 15% off. Don't start, let me take a breath here and look at your website and let me decide if I want to be on your, because I think you're going to get more out of that when you've let someone see who you are for a minute and then you ask nicely. So talk about this growing your list, because I know this is a big deal these days.
Oh, yeah. Well, and we probably all heard it by now that, you don't own Facebook, you don't own Twitter. If those platforms disappear, boom, so do your connections. An email list, though, is something that you can nurture, grow, but it does need to be a giving space. And so I think that's the hardest part for people to understand. It's a cognitive leap people have to make when I'm trying to explain that your first move is to give, and give generously, and give information that normally only your clients would receive, so that they're comfortable, because all of us have this bloated inbox, right? None of us want any more email coming in. So what amazing thing could you give them? Is it, tips only the pros know? Is it whatever your special sauce is? I encourage people to give a little of that, and give a little more than they think they even ought to give away for free, because even when we give it, we know that most people can't utilize all of it without your skill set, right?
That's a good point. Mm-hmm.
You could tell them exactly how to design their dream kitchen, but at the end of the day, they're like, that's great. I still need to hire you because I don't really know what I'm doing. So I encourage you to give, and give generously, because in that, the first exchange they experience is very positive. It creates trust. And then what do we most want them to know? We want them to know what we know how to do, and what we love to do, and what makes us happy. And yes, it's what we can do for them, but it's kind of a giving space. And that's what's different, I think, now about email collection, is it's a place to give and grow. And then, yes, it probably makes it so that you're top of mind when it comes time for them to send a friend a referral or reach out on their own. But in that process of giving, you're growing your email list. So let's say you are ready now, you're expanding your e-design, or you're launching virtual design consultation services because COVID, right? Or whatever it is. Now, these are people who adore you, love what you've been giving them. They're the most excited about this new service because they elected to hear from you. But it's kind of your own little community that you own. And I only say this as someone who's, we've all had that thing where, there's a blip in social media, or, the platforms do come and go. And just because you have someone's Instagram following, it doesn't mean it's who that person is behind the profile. But the email list is different. And for those with e-com, it's really the only way to monetize. But I think most of us in the creative services space are still looking to give and nurture that warm audience more so than just selling, if that makes sense.
That all makes perfect sense. And just a tiny note, since you brought it up on e-commerce, that was so intimidating to us. We were like, oh my God, how do you even? And for us, you shop services with us. You don't shop product. So it's so easy if it's tied to our e-design. So, and if you want to purchase a certain e-design, all the information and the cost of that is on our shop page now, which has been awesome.
But what I like that you did, Frankie, is it allows us to grow. If we decide we want to put products on there, we can. It wasn't like you just did this and we're done. There's room in there for us to add things and to grow things.
There's a lot of room in our website, right? To keep changing. Yes.
It's courage, right? You're like, oh my goodness. And there's nothing quite like that first sale where, someone bought, even if it's something you were doing before, when it comes through the site, there's a buzz about it, right?
Absolutely.
And a fun, and it's again about permission. Sometimes we want that permission to grow and know that maybe they want our pillows now, or whatever you're thinking of next.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, this is such a big deal because other websites that we had done never talked to us about the back end, about the SEO. I mean, there were keywords and things like that, but I think that's your secret sauce, I guess I would say, because we are found in searches, and I know it's because of what's kind of going on in the background, which we don't really know about. But talk about that, because I think that's probably the biggest bang for our buck that we got, not just in a beautiful website and all that, but the SEO and what.
Oh, I love hearing that. Well, that's a funny one to me. I love that you brought them up because, oddly enough, Shamin, who we mentioned earlier, she refers a lot of clients because of the SEO, but I always giggle because I guess in your language it would be like someone saying, I know you ladies provide these ridiculously clean backsplashes. You're like, well, that's because it was a new kitchen. Of course the backsplash. So it's kind of just something
like,
extra
duh.
you get.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I think a lot of it is, and anyone could do this to their site, but it is easier if it's a new site, because what most people don't realize is that the SEO isn't keywords and all of that. It starts with naming your images, naming them your name. You name them Kandrak and Cole Glamorous Living Room. You name it Kandrak and Cole Atlanta Dining Room. You give the names, because Google can't read, .png. Google needs to read words. And we're feeding Google every day, whether we want to or not. So it's kind of a from the ground up process, but it's tagging images, naming images. It is making sure that things are appropriately sized and your site isn't lagging and slow. Believe it or not, you get pinged, which means penalized, if your site isn't mobile friendly. Like, that is at least 50% of the people that look at your site are seeing it most of the time from mobile. So if that is a less than optimal experience, Google will showcase your brand less in those searches. So it's sort of I have a creative person's approach to SEO, because I'm naturally packing it with words that best articulate you. So that's kind of the
I never knew
sauce
that you got pinged if it wasn't mobile friendly.
Yes.
And we
Yes.
did go back and forth. We would make a change and then check it on our phones and check it on the iPad, and we had to tweak it. Some fonts were, being naughty, and some,
right.
we had a lot of aesthetic, things for you to tweak for us when things were just being.
And it's worth it, right? At the end of the day, it's because that's important, because you can even look in the admin panel of your site and see what percentage of people are looking from the phone. And it is astonishing. Even just a few years ago, it was 50%. So
Probably
slacking
more.
on that slacking on that won't do you any good. And they're sharing, and they're out to dinner, and they're like, here's who did my home. They're sharing it with friends. That friend is now on a phone looking at it. So in addition to Google's perception, it's the client going, I can't really see anything, right? That's not a...
Exactly. So what you just said about going in there and seeing that's all about the analytics.
Which I bet
Yes.
most people, what percentage of people do you think really dig into their analytics after you walk away?
I mean, even I don't dig into mine, I'll be honest with you. So I would say most don't. The only time someone does, if it's an e-commerce client. So someone who has a full shop, because they need to see basically where people are aborting the mission, or if there's a funnel in their site and we're trying to look at where people are stopping. Okay, how can we optimize that? But it's really good because people can see, it shows you, I'm a big Squarespace fan just because I think it's easy to teach people to manage their own site on Squarespace. The admin panel is beautiful. You can see what your top performing portfolio project is, how many people are coming to your contact us page versus how many people are submitting. So you can kind of see your busy pages, which might be informative to you, and you might want to doll those up or do something different on those pages. And so I think only time we look at that is when we're trying to tweak and have the luxury of time to...
Yeah, I was just going to say, when you have time.
Who has time, right? So if things are good and busy, we're not looking at that. The only time we're looking is if things are awry, or if we're in the middle of some kind of a marketing push, and we've got a new sales page or whatever. So you can function perfectly fine never looking at that. But if you're granular, there's so many tools available to look at. Or if you're hiring someone to do ads, of course they want to see those things too.
Right.
And I think it is easier to use. We were on WordPress. It wasn't bad, but I couldn't get it. I kept going back to our website designer, having her make all the changes. And you've been really great giving us videos to train us on everything. I refer to them all the time.
Yeah.
So that's been a big
My
asset.
voice in your ear.
That you.
Well, yeah.
My kids are like, who are you listening to over and over? Because I pause, do what you say, then you continue, and then like, who is that girl? I'm like, shush, I'm trying to add pictures to the portfolio. She's teaching me how to do it.
Yeah. And that's what is so nice. We kind of have some control. I'm not saying that we're in there changing things all the time, but if we really wanted to, I think I
Totally.
remember looking at something and the verbiage, I didn't really like it and I wanted to change it. And I remember you saying that when you go in and you make little changes, it kind of it's fresh again. So being able to go in there and just even maybe we need to change the picture on the front of our website. Maybe people, when they go to it, they're like, oh, I've seen that picture a million times. Maybe we just need a new one, and that just makes 100%. It look like we are not, we're not that same pictures up there.
Well, and Google likes that.
And
the website is a living, breathing thing that does need to be tweaked and changed so that the little spiders out there are like, ooh, new food.
There you go. Exactly. Well, and it's good for you too, right? Because it gives you kind of a new buzz, and you might not notice it, but you start sending people to your site again, or you start, hey, look at this. Did you see this? So some of it is, I think most of it's internal, to be honest. I think most of the time we're our own best marketers, and when we produce something new, we can't wait for people to see it. So we kind of subconsciously start peppering that into our communication. So you're generating, but yes, Google likes that. But it's just about staying fresh and current with what you're doing.
All right, so let's just say somebody's listening to you right now, and they are thinking of rebranding, or I think almost kind of goes hand in hand. I know we were so tired of our logo and everything, and so we changed all that. But what is the first thing you do? Do you give like a complimentary call? Like, how does someone get started?
I do. I've got a book a strategy session on my site, and I say 30 minutes, but the best calls just go until they go, and we just keep talking, and it's all about are we a good fit? Because it is a collaborative process. I like to design in tandem with someone, and it's a lot of fun when someone kind of just wants to go for it, and is ready to step into their newness. And I think all of us, especially, thank God for COVID, because everybody kind of now wants to do a little something different, and we're doing more this, virtual that. They sort of want a new way to express that and offer that. And so it's kind of this fun discovery call where we come up with, okay, well, if we could do this, and we can, what would that look like? And then we just see if we're a good fit, and we go from there.
And your website is superstarbrands.co.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And on there, It shows all the services that you offer. But you have a very impressive list of previous clients, like Thomasville Furniture, Southwest Airlines, Lane Venture, Visa. I mean, those are just a
Kendrick
few.
And Cole.
Kendrick and Cole. Yeah.
Kendrick and Cole. Let's not forget the big daddy of them all, right?
I mean, you need to add that to the website as far as previous clients.
Right.
So, we were so happy to have you on because you've done such a great job for us. And it's an investment.
It was a big investment, but it's so worth it.
It was so worth it.
And I wanted to say that this was the very first time that we did the website and branding all at the same time. Before, we would do the website, and then kind of on the side with somebody else, we did a logo, and then maybe we'd get some stationery, and then maybe we'd get some stickers. And this time we did it all at once with the branding guideline and new colors and everything. And I really prefer it that way.
So much more cohesive.
It really worked out better that way.
It's so much more fun, right? It's a big, all engines pointing the same direction, right?
Exactly. So there were no gaps in our messaging, which I think we probably had
And one of the things that we did for Frankie was we went to a bunch of different websites that we really liked. We liked the navigation on this one. We liked the font on this one. And so, I mean, we checked out a couple of interior design ones, but we really went to different type businesses. We did not want to imitate our competition, or we didn't want our website to look like our competition. Of course, you've got, the portfolio is going to be the same and whatever, but we just didn't want our first message to say, we design with the client's aesthetic in mind. And I mean, it's great, but we just wanted to be really different. So that, I think, was very helpful for you, because we would send you these links and go, okay, look at these 6 websites. This is what we like about this. And then we, kind of just worked it from there.
Well, the two of you zigged where everyone else zagged. I mean, you led with photos of yourselves, which many don't even want to show those until deeper into the About page. Color was your friend. And so it is the most fun for me when I get to play with someone else who's also playing at life. And the two of you were just excited about the newness. So I think we probably had more fun than is allowable. Right? But I think that's what produced that feeling for all of us, which was that, that willingness to kind of, what if we did this? Can we go with the chartreuse? I think we can, because nobody's telling us not to,
Yeah.
You were very patient with us.
No, but it's the most fun. I mean, I actually like that. And I did tell you that from the beginning. It's the most fun for me when it's honest, candid feedback, because that's the only way I can bounce off of that. So because so many want to play in the neutral space, raising my own hand, right? For our own brand, we're cautious, but when I can work with someone else who's ready to come out and have the color and I want to be seen, well, that's just juicy for me. So I think you two allowed it to be incredibly fun.
Great. Well, there's our timer. Perfect, Kelly. There's our timer saying that we need to wrap
coffee.
up. Well, hang in, Frankie, because we do our funny quote and our serious quote, and you and I are both big quote people.
Oh yes.
You put some great ones on Instagram. So what's your Instagram?
It's just at Frankie Durbin.
Frankie. So it's FrankiDurbin. You also have a beautiful blog. I mean, what's that?
I do. So many of your listeners probably know me as Life in a Venti Cup, because that was originally the name of my blog. And I was at one time a much more prolific blogger. And then you get so busy working that you're not blogging as much. But yes, so at some point I need to merge the two properties. So it's just omni-brand, right?
Well,
one big thing.
If anybody's looking for eye candy, go to that. It's just FrankieDurbin.com
sure.
or the Instagram. Major eye candy, beautiful quotes and all that. So, all right, I'm going to do the funny quote because
you go for it.
Because I have family in Europe and I know this all too well.
Okay.
So the Europeans out of the offices are like, I will not be working until 18 September. All emails will be automatically deleted. Americans, I'm in the hospital. Email responses may be delayed up to 30 minutes. Sorry for the inconvenience. If urgent, please reach me in the ER at ...
That's disgusting and so true.
So true.
So true.
These Europeans think we're crazy.
Because
the way we work.
We are.
Yeah.
All right, so let's tune into my girlfriend Oprah and see what she says today. When you make loving others the story of your life, there's never a final chapter because the legacy continues. You lend your light to one person, and he or she shines it on another and another and another.
So true.
Right?
Yeah.
Very true. Go,
you lend
Oprah.
your light, and he or she shines it on another and another and another. There you go. Thank you, Oprah. Mm-hmm. All right,
Thank
Frankie.
you,
Well, you're awesome. I hope everybody tunes in to superstarbrands.co and hires you and becomes superstars like us.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, girls. I can't wait to talk to you soon.
Great. Thanks, Frankie.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Okay. Have a great
Thank
one.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Join Joanne and Kelly weekly for a lively conversation about trends, travels to industry events, current design projects, the good, the bad, and the ugly, do's and don'ts, product recommendations, and more. Be sure to follow the fun on Facebook. They're on Instagram at Kandrak Cole, and of course, you've got to visit them online at kandrak-cole.com for more information.